Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the shadows to uncover some hidden gems. We all know the big names that dominated the horror box office over the last decade: The Conjuring universe, the It movies, Get Out. But what about the ones that slipped through the cracks? The truly terrifying films that, for whatever reason, didn't get the massive marketing push or the widespread attention they deserved. These are the movies that will stick with you. The ones that burrow into your subconscious and make you check over your shoulder long after the credits roll. So, grab your security blanket, turn down the lights, and let's talk about the scariest movies of the decade that nobody is talking about. First up on our list is a film from 2018 that is an absolute masterclass in atmospheric dread: The Dark and the Wicked. This isn't your typical jump scare fest. Instead, it's a slow, methodical descent into madness and despair. The story follows two siblings who return to their family's isolated farm to care for their dying father. Their mother warns them that something evil is waiting for him to die, something that wants their souls. What follows is a relentless and bleak exploration of grief, faith, and a palpable, suffocating evil. The director, Brian Bertino, who also gave us The Strangers, knows exactly how to use silence and shadow to create a sense of profound unease. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant bleat of a goat, feels loaded with menace. There are moments in this film that are so genuinely disturbing they'll be seared into your memory. It's a heavy watch, for sure. But if you appreciate horror that's more about a feeling of inescapable doom than cheap thrills, The Dark and the Wicked is a must-see. It's a truly frightening experience that deserved way more buzz. Next, let's talk about a movie that brilliantly plays with the found footage subgenre, 2014's As Above, So Below. Okay, so some of you might have heard of this one, but it definitely didn't get the mainstream love it should have. And it has since become a cult classic for a reason. The film follows a team of explorers who venture into the catacombs beneath Paris in search of the legendary philosopher's stone. What starts as a historical treasure hunt quickly turns into a claustrophobic journey into hell itself. The setting is incredible. They actually filmed in the real Paris catacombs, which adds a layer of authenticity and pure terror that you just can't fake on a soundstage. As the team goes deeper, the tunnels begin to reflect their own personal demons, and reality starts to warp and twist. The movie combines historical mystery, adventure, and full-blown psychological horror. It's frantic, disorienting, and genuinely scary. The feeling of being trapped miles underground with no escape is a primal fear. And this movie exploits it perfectly. If you wrote this one off as just another shaky cam flick, I'm telling you, give it another chance. It's one of the most creative and terrifying found-footage films out there. Now for something completely different, let's travel to Ireland for the 2019 film, The Hole in the Ground. This is a perfect example of a creepy kid movie done right, but it's so much more than that. The story centers on a young mother named Sarah and her son, Chris, who move to a remote house in the Irish countryside. One day, Chris vanishes into the woods near a giant, ominous sinkhole, only to return seemingly unharmed. But Sarah starts to notice subtle, disturbing changes in his behavior. Is it just her own paranoia, or is the boy who came back not her son at all? The film builds suspense masterfully, making you question everything you see. The lead actress, Shauna Kerslake, gives a powerhouse performance, perfectly capturing a mother's terror and uncertainty. The movie taps into that deep-seated parental fear of not knowing your own child. It's a chilling, atmospheric folk horror tale that relies on psychological tension rather than gore. The final act is unforgettable and will have you on the absolute edge of your seat. It's a slow-burn horror that delivers a truly unsettling payoff, and it's a shame more people haven't experienced its quiet terror. Okay, let's shift gears to a creature feature that is criminally underrated, 2020's The Block Island Sound. This movie is a fantastic blend of sci-fi mystery and Lovecraftian horror. It follows a man named Harry who is experiencing strange blackouts and unsettling visions after his father, a local fisherman, goes missing under bizarre circumstances. He and his sister start to investigate, uncovering a strange force that seems to be affecting the wildlife and the people of the island. This film is so effective because it keeps you guessing. You're never quite sure if the threat is psychological, paranormal, or something else entirely. The filmmakers do an amazing job of creating a sense of creeping dread and cosmic insignificance. The sound design is a character in itself, building an atmosphere of constant, humming anxiety. It's a smart, low-budget indie film that proves you don't need a massive budget to create something truly mind-bending and terrifying. The final reveal is chilling and will leave you thinking about it for days. If you like your horror with a dose of existential dread and a great mystery, do not sleep on The Block Island Sound. Let's discuss another found footage masterpiece. One that many people missed, Hell House LLC, from 2015. This movie is, hands down, one of the scariest haunted house films ever made. It's presented as a documentary investigating what went wrong on the opening night of a haunted house attraction, which resulted in the deaths of 15 tourgoers and staff. Through recovered footage, we see the crew setting up their haunt in an abandoned hotel with a dark past. At first, the spooky occurrences are subtle, mannequins moving on their own, objects being misplaced. But as opening night approaches, the activity escalates in a truly terrifying way. What makes Hell House LLC so effective is its realism. It feels frighteningly plausible. The scares aren't just jump scares. They are built on a foundation of genuine, sustained dread. There's one particular scene involving a clown mannequin that is legendary among those who have seen it. It's the kind of scare that's so simple yet so perfectly executed it will make your blood run cold. This film spawned a couple of sequels, but the original is a pure, uncut nightmare that will make you rethink ever stepping into a haunted house attraction again. Next up is a Canadian film from 2017 called The Void. If you're a fan of 80s practical effects, body horror, and cosmic terror in the vein of John Carpenter and H.P. Lovecraft, you need to stop what you're doing and watch this movie immediately. The story is wild. A police officer finds an injured man and takes him to a small, understaffed hospital. Soon, the hospital is surrounded by mysterious robed figures. And inside, the staff and patients find themselves trapped with a grotesque, otherworldly horror. The Void is a relentless, gore-soaked nightmare. The practical effects are absolutely incredible. The creature designs are disgusting, imaginative, and truly the stuff of nightmares. This isn't a subtle, psychological horror film. This is an all-out assault on the senses. It's chaotic, brutal, and doesn't let up from the moment the horror begins. It has a cult-like following for a reason. But it deserves to be seen by a much wider audience. It's a true love letter to a style of horror we don't see enough of anymore. And it is a gloriously terrifying ride from start to finish. For our next pick, we have a film that is deeply, profoundly sad and equally terrifying, Relic. Released in 2020. This is another movie that uses horror to explore a very real-world fear, in this case, the horror of watching a loved one succumb to dementia. When an elderly matriarch, Edna, goes missing, her daughter Kay and granddaughter Sam travel to her decaying family home to find her. Edna eventually returns, but she's not the same. She's forgetful, sometimes hostile. And there seems to be a sinister presence in the house that is growing along with her illness. Relic is an allegorical horror film, where the haunted house is a metaphor for the deteriorating mind. The house itself begins to rot, mold, and change, mirroring Edna's condition. It's a slow-burn film that's more interested in emotional devastation and atmospheric dread than jump scares. The final 20 minutes are some of the most powerful, bizarre, and heartbreaking sequences in modern horror. It's a film that's both beautiful and absolutely horrifying, and it will stick with you in a way that few movies can. A truly special and overlooked film. Let's end with a real hidden gem from 2017, Super Dark Times. This one isn't a supernatural horror film. Instead, it's a chilling, grounded thriller about how quickly adolescent friendships can unravel into something truly monstrous. Set in the 90s, the story follows two best friends, Zach and Josh. A tragic accident involving a samurai sword and another one of their friends sends them down a dark path of paranoia, guilt, and violence. The film perfectly captures the awkwardness and anxiety of being a teenager, but it twists that nostalgia into a knot of pure dread. As Zach tries to deal with his guilt, Josh becomes increasingly unhinged and dangerous. The horror here is entirely human, which makes it all the more disturbing. It feels like a lost Stephen King story, like a darker, more brutal version of Stand By Me. The performances from the young cast are incredible, and the direction creates a hazy, dreamlike atmosphere that slowly turns into a nightmare. It's a tense, character-driven story that proves the scariest monsters are often the people we think we know. It's a powerful and haunting film that absolutely deserves to be talked about. So there you have it, 8 of the scariest, most underrated horror movies of the last decade. These are the films that prove the genre is alive and well. Often thriving in the shadows away from the mainstream spotlight. From psychological thrillers to cosmic nightmares, there's something on this list to terrify everyone. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you seen any of these? What are some of your favorite hidden horror gems from the last 10 years? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the dark side of cinema, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and try to sleep well tonight.